ekutu sika no me sika no mfa mame nanado utrimu ye den papa obi ama ye juma Ghana mra kire say 24 years plus no yentu ameka as a retired officer no usi untu ameka me nya 60 years here nanado minister mi bisa wo. Have you been a civil servant in Ghana before? Have you worked as a civil servant? Please. Nanado. Mimpese. Mbe kasati yao. Mimpese mbe dumi usu eni ubusiya derbi. Midi yao esreo. Tise na Mr. Matheson. Efrisu nyani esreo no. Jai misika mami. Midin the ASP Franklin Kwesi Nate. Mi tome bon wo commercial bank. It was Accra North branch. Please, I beg you, in the name of God, don't touch my money. Don't touch my money. Don't touch my money. Anybody who receives this, please, send it to as many platforms for Nana Adodanko Akufo-Addo to see, to hear, and to see. Or his cousin Ken Oforiatta should hear. Please, 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 Nanado, I'm not supposed to beg you, because when you were begging that you should be tried, I remember traveling from Kumasi to Kofrodua to vote for you 2016, thinking you are bringing something on board. I regretted it. I have regretted all my life. Some friends told me, Anka unya accident or question na uya. Well, Nanado, please, whoever received this message, forward it to as many platforms. Let Nanado hear me and ensure I have my money. Thank you.
What's name wacha? Mama inji 2 years. Sesia the Fiora Bia 2 years. I wanted them. What's name? What's name 2 years? We are all 2 years account. Sesia no, sir, dan someone has said per se. Uped single roomer. Single roomer. Sesia no unkuta 600. Unkuta 500. Unkuta 700, 800. Nya dying. Sesia agent for 100 CDs for viewing fee, and I say 80 Ghana for viewing fee, just showing you the room. Sesia if you're for beer, the Omodayam agent for Uchia 9,600, also Uchia agent 900, 600, 900 and almost 1,000 CDs. Why? Sesia you to the end day. Why? Like why? What? Like why? Hey, like it's serious. Say, Matsna demo 2 years. I'm paying 8,000. Now I'm supposed to pay 9,600. And you're taking the 2 years. You take 1 year and put. Me can't see me engine 6 months in 1 year. Say we hear Juma me fiera. Ube boa no busumi pay a the amount. Say 600 or say 700. You have to eat only small one pay because a whole month no pay. And si back on one bed then. Ume she bibi yo. Ume she bibi yo my one penny for mon can one semi na. Youth for ye brana ye kum ye anyhow. A direct in tea ye bedding pontino. Ube come ye kum. Go back home, ye kunti, you to nanti ye brand moon. A dance sem kunye. A day. How? Ghana, ye ble papa. A day. And then Fiera, walking in and catch a very me patron me per diamond, but because of agent. agent viewing fees or do coach them or bet you 80 CDs and now say 100 CDs. And then dance so man dying who got 600 oh nya single room name or do 2 years 600 CDs 2 years because of that into the ultimate mother or no person or two now or do a for a show on one 600 one 500 that they would turn into a person who 2 years. And the moon can wash my and say youth in the year bread. Yea, and ye bet to a bone, ye ask me to a back. I make your main influence in Crawford.
Yeah. So basically, what you have there are you have communication specialists, directors of communications, deputy directors of communications, technical communication assistants, media aides, media liaison officers, communication consultants, presidential advisor on media, who has a technical director to the presidential advisor. Then you have the ministers of state at the presidency,
and these guys are there for information minister.
Yes.
Go through that list again. Just on the communication side,
there's a lot to communicate.
Stop it.
I'm just telling you.
You have information minister who's cabinet level,
who has ISD working for him too,
and then you're having all these guys working under the presidency,
who work under communications directorate
of the presidency.
There's a lot to communicate.
You can't be serious.
I'm just telling you, there's a lot to communicate.
So and what are the conditions of service of these people?
Nobody knows. That's the issue.
That's why the transparency is not. So if I'm a lecturer in Legon and I've been teaching for 15 years, right? And I struggle to get my PhD. And then you have somebody who is a technical director to who has access to fuel. Read the letter they wrote. They said their fuel thing is not gone up. So this technical director, what's the competence, what's the qualification of somebody to do this work? So if we are not transparent, and I'm saying that this is mathematics, this one is not sentiment. If the government wants the pressure from the labor unions to go down, and they want to, and if they want a credible plan for IMF to, if the plan is not credible, see, if people don't accept the plan, it's not credible. If the labor unions, the businesses don't accept the policy, the IMF will not accept it. So if they will not be transparent with these guys and say, this is what we are doing, I can understand why you have all these guys working, and what are they doing? You said they have a lot to communicate. What are they communicating?
I'm just telling you. But if what would be the justification for
look at
directors of communications?
Mention the mention the post again. Mention the thing again.
So the directors of communications.
How many directors of communication?
Yes, 4.
4 directors of communication, and then deputy director of communication.
There are 5 deputy directors
at the presidency.
Yes.
And then which one again?
2 communication specialists.
So the director is not a specialist. Okay, the specialist below.
There's a lot to communicate.
2 communication specialists and
2
then
communication officers. 5 technical communication assistants.
So you have 4, 5, 9, 6, 7 plus 3, 10, 15.
Media aid.
How many?
1.
Media aid.
Assistant media liaison officer.
17.
Communication consultant.
18.
Then there's a presidential advisor on media.
Charlie, are you sure you're not joking? Are you sure? What are you? What? He's not joking. What are you saying? No.
Of all the positions,
guys, let's go through this again. Let's go through this thing again. I want to be sure. And sorry if we are picking.
I'm telling them today, this is an opportunity for me to speak. They should demonstrate and who follow them. What is it? Are they waiting for 2024? They should go anywhere. They should go to wherever they wanted to go. The president and the ministers,
it's not that in here. You have to shake that if ready. That's why my hospital here. They buy a few. One be a shika never go out and feel ready. A large afa. I don't know where for.
Chanakapa Ibragbo. Didn't fail a monkey. What the police hospital? I'm in a jail. Swat clinic were back denied. No, the police hospital. I can tashi. Nakumo General Hospital. Company Rich Hospital. I'm Malefio, Malefio. Many Rich Hospital.
You were Papa, the best sympathy. She kept you like a sympathy. The way you will cook when you're sheer. Yeah, Itamowo, me ya nyeme. Itamowo, I don't think I can fear about it.
You look money go ahead there for ya. What punish you see? Now attempt the year already here. I trust some for the was thank you, Mr. President. But say my bull Nigerian hospital head. You see, I pack la pack, la general pack, and then la general hospital.
Right, as if I will bend you, you are all welcome once again to the show. I hope everything, wherever you are and whatever you are doing, I am very sure you are winning. Anyway, this is Mansa Musa, and today is the 5th day of June 2023. Yesterday, I sat here together with Comrade Mbamba, Comrade Amanshia, and Comrade Lonsa Jenny to discuss the June 4th uprising, its negatives and of course the positives, what we've gained out of it, and what did transpire, of which we can say it wasn't well taken off. So that was what we spoke about. And tonight it continues. If you have anything to say about June 4th, you are welcome to come share your views. That is after I have finished with I've finished with Dr. Donko. Right, so if you just tune in, I will say welcome to the show, Mansa Musa. It is a Wednesday, no, it's not Wednesday, it's Monday evening. It's a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday evening here in London. And the program, as usual, is called Fire Will Burn You. Obviously, it's metaphorical. I don't want fire to burn anybody. Fire, in actual sense, shouldn't burn anybody. And that's why I usually do advise you to be very mindful of what you do with electrical fittings and installations, because over there in Ghana and West Africa, things that cause, things that causes fire, mostly fires are started not because of, let's say, gas, as it happens in Europe, but electric fittings. So be careful with them. But metaphorically, this is the program called Fire Will Burn. We come here to discuss everything in Ghana, good, bad, and the ordinary and in between. Tonight, the main two topics are, the remnants of June 4th, what do you make of it, what we can do better going forward. Then, the issue at stake is the current discussion going on, the energy discussion. One would have thought that we've already done this discussion long ago. But we are still talking about it. Tonight, though, we are lucky to have one of that big English word, proponents, I think, a minister, former minister for energy, to come and at least, share, make some sense of what is going on. Because me, Mansa Musa, I've already laid my cards on the table. What that gentleman from the World Bank said, how he said it, and everything shows something rather sinister to me. But I'm the only person. Maybe somebody have different ideas. So let's go to Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, wherever Dr. Donko is, and say, good evening, sir, and welcome to NFM Radio.
Good evening. I'm here in Accra in my office in Parliament House.
Jesus Christ, your office is in Parliament. Does it mean you're a parliamentarian?
Yes, I'm a member of Parliament, the member of Parliament for Pru East constituency in the Bono East region.
Jesus Christ again. So why did I miss this? Somebody told me the other time that maybe that man lost his seat too. So I was challenging, is he a parliamentarian? Because my good friend Kakrasama would have told me. And I was arguing, he said, maybe he lost it, but he knows that you are a parliamentarian. And we argue anyway. So Mansa Musa doesn't know everything in this world, and that is for a change. Sir, welcome here to
It's true I lost my primaries, but I'm a 3-term MP. I've been in Parliament. This is my 11th year, so I still have 1.5 years to go to finish my term.
Oh, I see. Now we are getting the picture. We are getting the picture, indeed. Anyway, sir, welcome once again to this platform, this forum. The reason I bothered you this evening, in fact, I've been bothering you since about 3, 4, 5 days ago, is that I think you heard what the country director for the IMF, World Bank, Mr. Pierre-Frank Laporte said about this excess payments, the arrangements, and the rest of it. Listening to him, it looks as if you guys got it very wrong. Take it away, sir.
Well, Mr. Laporte is not a technocrat. Mr. Laporte's intervention makes him a partisan political operator. A little bit of his background will probably lead to why I call him a partisan political operative. He was a former Minister of Finance in Seychelles. He was also a former Minister of Trade in Seychelles. He was a former governor of the Central Bank. And as we speak, he's lacing his boots for the presidential election. He wants to contest as the president. And therefore, he is more a political operative than a typical World Bank technocrat. He needs friends in the sub-regions, and therefore he will play ball in order to cement his relationships. And I am disappointed he's spoken in a manner unbecoming of a diplomat. And it's not just the tenor of his language, but the inaccuracy, the factual inaccuracies that he pushed as gospel. Let me give you a good example. If you look at the Energy Commission's projected power outlook and the reality for 2022, there was hardly any excess capacity across the 12 months. It was only in October 2022 that there was a slight excess capacity. For a number of the months, we had eaten into our reserves, or what we call our redundancy. That is our reserve margin. So the issue of excess capacity does not arise. Indeed, as we speak, Ghana has signed some new power purchase agreements to take some plants to Kumasi. AXA is going to set up a new plant in Kumasi. If we have excess capacity, why are we contracting additional power? So that is not the issue. And then he talked about expensive PPAs, power purchase agreements. In the history of Ghana, the most expensive power purchase agreement that we had was in 2006, 2007 from a company called Transtema, where we paid 29 cents per kilowatt hour for power, as it was an emergency plant. And therefore, one can understand that it was an emergency plant, but that was the highest. The Ameri plant, for example, levelized over the 20-year period, has a tariff or a capital recovery charge of 0.0114 cents per kilowatt hour. Is the cheapest thermal plant currently in Ghana. This same man either did not see or refused to see that Ghana has spent over $250 million on a plant called T3 that has never produced a single kilowatt of power. And yet he sees nothing wrong with that. Some of the plants that PPAs that we signed under emergency had 5-year lifespans. The contracts have lapsed, and the government has gone ahead to sign new contracts. And the new contracts have pay or take elements. Indeed, the Tema LNG project has a take or pay element. It's also on take and pay basis. So where is the bashing coming from other than from partisan political lens? And my worry, my regret is that before his intervention, we were trying to work in synchrony, both the Ministry of Energy and even our minority energy group at Parliament as a whole, recognizing that there are challenges in the power sector, particularly the power sector, but not limited to power, the petroleum sector as well. But in the power sector, there are challenges, and we have to work at this as a country, as a group, as Parliament. Then this man comes and throws the winch into the works, or from a very partisan position. And now it's almost like NDC and PPP all over again. We fought these battles, we've gone through these arguments from 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. And in 2023, this is being brought back. It just doesn't work. So he has done a disservice to Ghana, and ordinarily he should apologize and retract.
If let's take it one by one, where you started, that he may have some ulterior motive or some objectives for doing or saying what he said. For me, when I saw it, I read it, and I listened to the audio here and there, it straight away got to me. First, I thought it was fake. Then I thought it was genuine. Then later, I had to settle that, yeah, it was genuine. I could feel straight away that, no, this isn't right. Either there is some serious geopolitics behind, somewhere pushing him to say this, because in his position, in that capacity, surely his employers by him, or the policies that safeguards his position doesn't allow him to be partisan or take sides in local politics or political language or conversations. I mean, to say that because maybe he wants to go and be president in his hometown of Seychelles, really something must be pushing him to do this, other than just mere fact that he wants some favors, which might not be coming from anywhere.
Well, let me tell you something. The energy sector recovery program that the World Bank has been a part, been a major player, has been in existence for over 5 years. The commercials of the power sector are deteriorating instead of improving. And for gas alone, if you take the collective debt to ENI alone, we owe. If you take the standby LCs they've drawn down and the outstanding of $150 million, we're hitting about $500 million from ENI alone. If you take the debt on Jubilee and 10 gas, that gives you another $500 million. So on gas alone, the debt in the system is about $1 billion. And that has to be an issue. That has to be an issue that should concern all of us. And yet we have had the ELP for the last 5 years. It means the ELP is not working. The Energy Sector Recovery Program, funded and financed by the World Bank, it's not working.
Where do you think this? Oh, go ahead. I thought you landed. Please go ahead.
Yeah, and he must try to have some justification for why it's not working. Of course, he will blame everyone other than the World Bank having a role in it. But our major challenge is really at the commercial side. Yes, there are technical inefficiencies. For example, we have some of our thermal plants still being simple cycle instead of combined cycle. If they are combined cycle, the quality, the quantum of generation increases at a lower cost because you use the exhaust heat to power another turbine. So that if you have a 220 megawatt plant, 2 GE frame 9s, and then you have a heat recovery unit, that heat recovery unit will also generate another 110. So you are going to have 330 megawatt plant by using the fuel of 220. And so the tariff in terms of the economics is better. So those are technical issues that still have to be addressed. But there are serious commercial issues. ECG loses about 30% of the power it buys. And which industry will give you a 30% markup?
Sure.
To break even? No industry will have a 30% markup. And so there are serious commercial issues that we have to tackle.
Yes.
And instead of focusing on
Dr. Donko, you see, I, me, myself, others who are listening everywhere will attest to the fact that, yes, there are these serious problems where no one is going to deny whether NDC and people, no one's going to. But I want us to stick on what that director, the country director said, I mean, his comments. Because here we are, almost very political, very partisan, by trying to infer that the economic hardships or the situation where this government is not being able to pay, repay debt here and there, is mostly should be attributed to the power agreement, payment dues agreement that you guys did. And that must be addressed. The point, what I want to say is that
he is so wrong. He is so wrong.
So let me finish the point, then you can add it together. My point is that I've listened to so many comments by NDC spokesperson here and there, but it looks like everyone is shying away from. I don't mean it should be attacked verbally, but politely calling him out that, look, He's wrong with figures and facts. Instead of directing the whole argument to between NDC and MPP, as is going on currently. What do you say to that, sir?
Well, all day, this is what I've been doing. Proving that he is wrong with facts and figures, and also explaining the situation. For example, on 1st January 2017, the exchange rate, the CD dollar exchange rate, was 4 cedis, 14 pesos to the dollar. Today, the exchange rate is 11 cedis, 19 pesos to the dollar. This is important in that the PPAs, the payables in the energy sector, in terms of tariff, are dollar denominated. The receivables are CD denominated. We pay IPPs in dollars. We receive CDs from customers. And so if you don't have a stable exchange regime, if you have a warped exchange regime, as I have just indicated, from 4 CDs, 14 CDs to the dollar, to 11 CDs, 19 CDs to the dollar, of course, it will impact on your ability to pay. It will impact. So instead of the World Bank, IMF, etc., all helping the government of Ghana to stabilize the economy and create an efficient macro and monetary economy and have a stable exchange regime, that the exchange regime is deteriorating by the day. And that is one of the major causes of the challenge we have in the energy sector. That is what, and because of that, there is under recovery. You are selling the product for less than the cost of generating the product, in that the exchange rate regime obliterates whatever gains you will make, whatever profit margin, by just the deterioration of exchange rate. That is one. There is also theft. There's theft, there's inefficiency of collection on the part of ECG. And there is also underinvestment in collection infrastructure. So those are the issues we should be addressing as a nation, and not go to PPAs. Every single PPA that NDC signed that had elapsed has been extended or renewed, meaning it was necessary.
This is where I want to ask you, do you have the new documents? Maybe not you personally, but I said, do you? That is it available? Because, we in this business, the number of correspondence I've had from others, we have the against and the for. I mean, the against people, the way, they're attacking me that, look, the new one, Mansa Musa have not seen it, and so it's not true this and that. So we need those documents.
There are three contracts. There's the Tema LNG contract or agreements, which is on take or pay basis. There is the AXA Kumasi plant agreement, the PPA for AXA. AXA is building a plant in Kumasi. There is that. And then there's the AXA Tema agreement. The original AXA Tema agreement was for a 5-year period. The contract is lapsed, and so a new one has been signed. So there are these agreements, and they all contain elements of take and pay.
But if this has just been, arranged or agreed recently, how will this gentleman from the World Bank expect the government to go back to renegotiate again? Is there some cynicism? I mean, is it being, I don't know, I don't want to use word like naive, it's not fair, but I don't get it. if this has happened recently, how will he advise government to go and renegotiate something that has been signed not 5, 6, 7 years ago, but maybe as recently as a year or two ago?
Or less. Let me give you an example. The car power agreement has been extended. You see, there is what we call capital recovery in every power agreement. There's a capital recovery component. If you are recovering costs over 5 years, the recovery rate will be higher than if you are doing it over 20 years. The original car power agreement was a 10-year agreement. It has been extended to a regular IPP by negotiation. And therefore, if the...
Sorry, can you explain that side a bit? You say it has been extended. That means the original arrangement, the original agreement has been extended, or changes have been made.
Yeah. The duration has been extended from 10 years to 20 years. And that automatically brings in a lower capital recovery.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yes. So that has been done. But by extending, and then again, in the original car power agreement, we insisted that anytime domestic gas became available, the batch will move from firing heavy fuel oil, HFO, and then we'll move to gas. That has been done. These were all foreseen and provided for in the agreement. So it's not like nothing has been done. Some of the agreements, if you take the TICO Atakrade, this was signed way before Mahama or Atamel's regime. It's really the first thermal plant owned 10% by VRA and then foreign interest 90%.
NFM Radio.
So if you're saying they should renegotiate this, well, in any contract, you can always opt to renegotiate. But the other party has the right to also make new demands.
Sure. There again, even within this, the man said that this sort of, or that sort of agreement had never been seen in the whole world. And that, he actually painted a picture that you guys signed something which was really detrimental to the good, what we call it, welfare of Ghana. And I don't understand it.
If you had not been a diplomat, my reaction might have been different. However, I can assure you, and tomorrow the minority will be holding a press conference on this. Today, I have reacted as the former minister for power. But the minority caucus will be holding a press conference, and they will show figures that we still have the lowest tariff in dollar terms in the sub-region, the West African sub-region. So in Akan, we say,
it be so.
Yes. So there are macro problems with the macro economy, the management, the efficiencies, the ineffectiveness of economic management. And therefore, this World Bank person is just providing an opportunity of respite for the party in power. And we will not allow that. And that is why we are taking him on.
Right. That actually will sound very a welcome sort of development to your grassroots or, to Ghanaians in general. Do you think he himself has been misled, maybe allowed himself to be misled, or innocently got the wrong data and everything else?
Well, I have issues with this particular person. This was the same man who came out to claim that all the COVID expenditure, at least using World Bank funds, were kosher.
When
yes. When our own Auditor General had questioned the basis of that, of some of the expenditure. So this is a man out for to paint a picture greener than it actually is. And he made a statement that by the power purchase agreements we had signed, we were crowding out space for green energy, particularly solar power. He could not have been further from wrong. As of today, solar is not a viable option for base load. Solar is a viable option for domestic use,
Sir, I am happy. I am happy you are clarifying this. It shows your depth knowledge in these things, because someone will stand aside and say, what do you mean solar is not good? Solar is actually domestic or minor, industrial or commercial, units. Fine. But for us, like you say, base load, it is not really conducive. And that is a good explanation to give. So let me ask you about the document before you carry on. For those of us, trying to, we are on a crusade to always bring out the facts and, stop this. I confirm it to you. And so we need to spread the truth. Will you kindly make available to me all the documents, the previous signings, and copies of the electronic whatever, copies of those agreements? They are not state secret, I hope. The copies of those agreements and the new ones, the old and the new ones, if we can, please. Not today, not now, but later.
They are too bulky for me to say. I will get them to you.
Is it not on electronic any platform?
I don't have
electronic format, I should say, so that we can.
No, I don't have, because they were all in hard copies, and I have some hard copies here. If you are in Ghana, I can give some of them to you to photocopy or to, but I don't have them in electronic format.
Okay, so we'll talk later behind closed doors to see if we can arrange to, order. I'll put in an order, photocopy and posted.
You can check up from the website of the Energy Commission. Ideally, the Energy Commission and the PURC, if you link up to them, the regulatory bodies, they may have.
On this one, I will need your help as well. Some links that you can send me will do. That's fine. I will do
No. Energy Commission website. If you type Energy Commission of Ghana, you get their website. All the documents that they have should be on their website. And the same goes for the Public Utility Regulatory Commission of Ghana.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. So, going forward, now, this man has come to say this, and now you are saying you guys are going to take him on. Like I said, it will be music to the ears of your followers, your base, and
just monitor the airwaves today, tomorrow, and then you will find out that we're taking him on. My battery is running out.
Someone have just sent me 2022 Energy Outlook. That means someone has already is in the possession of those documents. Right. If your battery is
Energy Commission website, go to you will see the various documents. Energy Commission is good at that. Or go to their website.
Yeah. What I'm saying is someone listening has sent me a document. I'm yet to open it. We will see what is in there. But it's now 7 o'clock in Ghana. It's 8 o'clock in UK. I will only say that thank you very much for your time. This was not arranged. It was just an impromptu. As at when you people have your public, how do we say, discussion on this issue and is done, we'll hear a lot more. But will you agree with me that this maybe in general, overall, some of these agreements and arrangements going forward should be done in a very transparent, format, so that even if there are mistakes, people will see it as mistakes and not as though some people are incompetent or there's something fishy behind it and the rest of the rest. Will you agree with me?
There was nothing opaque about the power purchase agreements. They came through Parliament. They are public documents. They were debated, discussed from committee. There was nothing opaque. But all over the world, emergency power plants cost more. When the regular cycle to construct a power plant is about 3 years.
It was emergency, we all know. I think there's some mischief going on. But finally, recently we heard there was gas shortage from Nigeria. If we have so much gas at Twabo, are we still crying for lack of gas from Nigeria? Some of us, the lay people, we find some of these developments very rather strange.
Again, it's also part of the malaise with Ghanaian journalism. As we speak, we don't have enough domestic gas going through the pipelines to power plants. So we still import some power, some gas from Nigeria, from N-Gas through the West African gas pipeline. It's not as much, we're no longer as dependent on them as we used to. Yes, we are producing sufficient gas, but there are infrastructural constraints. So a good quantity of gas is being re-injected into the reservoir to push crude oil out. This could have been done with water if we had adequate infrastructure to evacuate all the gas, and if there was a pricing mechanism that is attractive enough to investors to put in more money into gas infrastructure. These are the issues we now have to face, and this is the issues we should focus our attention on. Unfortunately, people like Mr. Laporte come in and throw a winch into the works, and then we go back.
Sir, going forward, we hope that if and when, or should I say when you guys get to rule Ghana again, two things, health and less education. I believe that from day nursery to at least secondary upper 6, it should be free, proper, whether it is boarding or it is day student, it should be free. So subsidies, I will agree. Then health too, I will agree for subsidy. But electricity, if you guys don't plan it well, it will still become abattoirs, like we are saying.
It's not we guys. It is all of us.
Sorry, sir, in a respectful way, believe me. I mean, I'm just saying.
No, it's all of us as a people. It is our collective responsibility. By the way, I have issues with the free education that you mentioned. I lived in Europe. In fact, I was a lecturer at the University of Bristol.
Right.
I studied in the University of Bristol and Lancaster. My MSc, PhD from Bristol, my MBA from Lancaster Management School. Where in Europe does free education include boarding?
Exactly. No, I just mentioned it because that is what's being practiced. I mean, it is too expensive. Yeah, I got it. No. As for that one, it should be free, but it should be manageably free. We all understand that. So it
should not include boarding.
But the electricity, you have to look at the what do you call it? What did you mention? That the losses, 30% being taken, stolen, or whatever it is, it got to be managed properly, honestly. Otherwise, you people have albatross on your necks like everybody else. When I say you people, I mean when you are in government. And I wish you to all the best going into Asin North. Thank you and have a good evening. Right, so that is it. With Dr. Kwabna Donko. Honestly speaking, his telephone died even before my last statement. So otherwise, you people are still bringing in some questions for me to ask, which is really a good thing because it shows that you guys are very... okay, thank you. It means you guys are much interested in... okay, thank you. It means you guys are interested in whatever situation or topic first and foremost being discussed here, and also whatever is going on in Ghana. You are listening to Mansa Musa, and this is
NFM
what we
Radio.
call Fire Will Burn You. Right, if you just tune in, welcome to Fire Will Burn. Aye, yes, Fire Will Burn You, but it's in, metaphoric, okay? It's not going to burn you in real time, so don't be too much afraid. But anytime you call in here, be afraid indeed. Anyway, so let's carry on, let's continue. You can call in 0208 123 5911 or 07876 251 261. These two numbers, when you call in, definitely I will let you right in the eye, in the air, in the sky. Then you go fit talk. Conrad Dunbar, in fact, he is an NDC person here in the UK, Ireland chapter. And if you guys don't know, and those of you listening in Ghana, he is actually vying to become the chairman of UK Ireland chapter of the NDC. Chairman Conrad, or yes, chairman boss. To be. These people are going to now hammer me. Anyway, chairman to be, hopeful chairman. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Oh, good evening, my brother. How are you doing?
I am very well indeed. I'm still. Some people don't want to use the word celebrate, but I'm still, commemorating, if that's a good word, the June 4th movement, June 4th uprising. And so I'm in my happy or in a celebratory mood, put it that way. But we need to discuss other stuff. That is why today, the current discussion, the current conversation about energy payments and energy waste and energy inadequacies and everything about energy, we have taken this topic to discuss. And I think you also have, you yourself personally have some major input, knowledge about what is happening and what has gone on, and you want to share with us. So without too much of me talking, I can talk for England. Take it away. We are listening.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it was quite refreshing listening to honorable member. He threw a lot of great light and shone the light on the unfortunate comments of the World Bank country director. I say unfortunate comments, and I think that my senior colleague did a good job of basically dissecting it in a very, very beautiful way. Dr. Kwabena Donko, I mean, nobody could have done any better justice than it. He covered very good points that Ghanaians need to all be aware of. You see, my take is this, and I'm going to take it like they always say, if somebody says they will do something or something is wrong, check what they themselves have done. I mean, it should be evidence-based. And that is why, personally, in my quest to become chairman for UK and Ireland chapter, I have no qualms about anybody checking my record in Milton Keynes. And that's where people call me Chairman Conrad for my days in Milton Keynes. I'm a floor member now. So for me, it's unfortunate. And I think that Dr. Kwabena Donko basically hit the nail on the head where he said the man was speaking as a diplomat, and therefore we will grant him the audience of not embarrassing him. But he made a very tragic error of judgment of straying into political territory, basically to sweeten the bitter taste of an IMF pill in the mouth of this government. We have situations where, and this is the thing you see with these diplomatic services and these kind of multilateral Bretton Woods institutions. They are good for supporting our countries, but one thing I always get peeved with them is they speak too much diplomacy. Every single government, when they are in power, is always painted in a good light. I know you have to do that to keep working with them, but sometimes you don't have to lie, or you don't have to say things that are not quite true to make them feel any better about the mess they've put themselves in. And notice, anytime a new government comes in, they will write a new letter, and that new letter will tell you exactly the mess that the previous government just left. President Mills inherited one. President Kufuor inherited one. When President Kufuor got his own, it basically said the NDC and the President Rawlings had done crap. When President Mills got his own, it basically said Kufuor had done double crap. And it keeps on going and going. And that is not healthy for us. If you are IMF, you are World Bank, when you're in the country, just shut up. We don't need you to tell us what to do. If you are helping us with stability, focus on that. You know what our problem is. He's the same person. You go back and check the World Bank and IMF joint debt sustainability analysis. Back in 2019, he wasn't singing this song. He was clear to this government that the direction of travel, the quantum of debt, was going to put us in a big ditch. All this noise, look, let me start. All these things they are talking about. Our own government, the data our government puts out, confirmed that they had only paid what you call so-called excess capacity or whatever payments, the tune of just about $900 million over 4 years, instead of the billion they claimed they had been paying. Now, all this excess capacity, I'm not an energy expert, but I always took the pain to try and find out. In my life as an auditor, I've had the privilege of auditing some of the energy companies in this country. If you study the energy infrastructure in the Western world, you will know that sometimes what you call excess capacity is actually not excess capacity. What we have in Ghana, we don't have excess capacity, and I'll explain it. There is something called a reserve margin, but I will come to that. And I deliberately gave you that report, the 2020 Ghana Energy Outlook Report, 2022, so that we can dissect it. But before I even go there, the good gentleman, Pierre Laporte, right? He studied in the UK here, so he knows all of these things. He's a seasoned economist. He was for a long time a cabinet minister and finance minister for the Seychelles Island. Remember where Otumfuo was taken? Yes. So he's an African. Let me give an example, because you see, in his statement, he says, one, those debts are a millstone around the neck of government. We will address that. Two, that they restrict the space for renewables. Mansa Musa, whilst he was finance minister, and he's respected in his country for having done a great job, they are an island, and everybody knows that islands get a lot more wind than a country like Ghana that is landlocked 3 ways and only has access to the sea at if you like, the Gulf of Guinea. So technically, we can only do offshore on the Gulf of Guinea. That island could offshore all around. Do you know that his own country has only got 5% of its power from renewables?
Just 5, isn't it?
Yes, Seychelles. Only 5%.
I'm just, as we speak, I'm just looking at some notes on their website. Yeah, go ahead.
And their target for 2030 is 15%. This is an island. They could literally surround the entire island with what?
with
offshore
with blades, the fan blade.
Good.
And the fan will be turning around all the time, all year round.
Good. So he could do it, but you should have asked him why did he not get that done when he was there. How much does Ghana have? Ghana in itself, right? Ghana has 10%. For us, and if you look at the population as a child, they are not as many as we are. So technically, they could power themselves fully by that. They are less than what? Less than 25 times our population. But let's not go into that. They are 5%. It's only recently that they have started a few solar plants and a few wind farms to crank up, right? So they are still at least 5% below Ghana. Ghana has, as we speak, 10% of our energy is renewables, solar and all that stuff. A lot of it was down to the hard work of President Mahama and some of the deals that were signed, which he's now talking about. So for him to say to us that, those agreements reduce our capacity to go renewables, I don't think that he really he thought that through. Because as Honorable Dr. Donko just said, we cannot power our industries with solar.
Exactly.
Yes, we should expand solar across all the hot areas of Ghana, middle belt, in fact, from Accra up to the north. So that
he used the term the base energy. For base energy, you cannot rely on solar, which is really a clever sort of comment to make. Yeah.
So the question is, was Pierre Laporte aware of this particular point before he went on to go and say what he has said? And if he compared and contrasted with the same country he came from, we are doing twice as much solar as his country, and they should have even been fully 50% at the very least. So before you start pointing the fingers at others, you should be looking at the other 4 that are coming to you.
Sure.
That is just to address that. Now let me put his address of his personal situation and painting a view as if you know so much better. It's because we mess ourselves up in Ghana. That's why people like this can come and just say anything at all. Now let's go into the substance where he says that all this energy base, we signed bad agreements and all that stuff. Before I touch Ghana, Mansa Musa, every country, and good practice, there's something called a reserve margin. And what that reserve margin basically is that, see, it's basically, in simple terms, an allowance. Because if you have, let's say you have an allowance of, say, 10% more, if at any point, sooner or later may go on maintenance, or car power may go on maintenance. So if at any point up to 10% of your energy generating assets go on maintenance and they are not putting power into the system, because you have a reserve margin of 10%, you will still be fine. So you won't be having this load shedding and all that stuff. Plus, if a line is down on this side and takes out 10% of your energy there, the other lines can still run. This country, they do that.
Yes.
That's why you are told. Sometimes they say, it will be a severe cold is coming. And so some assets have been, government pays for those assets to be available, your reserves. When you need more power, those people will generate it to make sure they can balance the load. Not the kind of load shedding we have. A lot of load shedding we have is because what you are putting into the system is less than what is demanded. And so you have to put lights off somewhere. Otherwise, you blow the system. I'm not a technical person. I'm just speaking it as I know it in basic language. This is done in this country. Now, what if you look it up? I'll send you another research paper. The optimum reserve margin that is suggested for many power generator or power supply systems to maintain is 18%. That's the optimal. It is said if you have up to 18%, it means that even when demand is outstripping you, because population always grows, it allows you the lead time to be able to catch up. So if my population is growing by 10%, and in Ghana, incidentally, our demand for energy has been growing by at least 9.2%. Let's make it 10% over the last 5-10 years. It has been growing by that much. And so if you even have a reserve margin of 80% today, by next year, you need to start increasing because next year it will come down to 8%. And you know what the research actually shows? 80% is the margin, is the optimum. You can go up to 3% below or 3% up, plus or minus between 2 to 4%. So if you come down 3% down to 15, you are kind of now, if you like, almost about okay. Or if you get excess to about 21%. So basically, if the total you are generating, once you take out what is dependable, because there are many reasons why you can produce, say, 5,000 megawatts, but the dependable one you get is probably what? Say 4,000 megawatts for many, many reasons.
Sure.
It could be because your transmission lines are not efficient, and that's the problem we have in Ghana. We all know that.
Sure.
I will direct you to particular paragraphs, and we can look at the Energy Commission's own numbers and prove that what our brother Pierre Laporte was saying is staged with a certain element of not being informed by what is there. And so the optimum is 80%. If a country maintains about 18 is good. And many private companies that make money out of power, right? They stick to this because they don't want to have blackouts and lose money. And equally, they don't want to have excess and be losing money. Because if you have blackout, that means when that lights out, you pay bill, alive. So they will not make money. These are your eons, your end powers, and the like we're talking about in this country or in the States. Equally, if they carry more than 21%, they'll be carrying more money, more assets than they need to sell. So they'll be making losses. Okay? Now, let us come to our particular case in Ghana. Mansa Musa, I sent you that economic report.
Yeah.
Just scroll down to page. I'll keep it very, very simple.
1 second.
Just go down to page 69. In fact, before you go to 69, go to page 25. There's a table there, table 19, on page 25.
Just a second. I've left that place, so let me open again. I was on my laptop, but you keep talking.
Yes.
I'm trying to open it again.
Now, if you go to that page 25, as we said, it's supposed to be figure 19. And this is from the Energy Commission. If you go to the Energy Commission report, just go there, you see the Energy Outlook report. It goes as far back as possible, from the early 90s all the way to now. Every year you will see one. And if you go through, you will see their projections for the year. You see it's always based on the actuals plus all those other stuff. Now, once you look at that, you will see it confirms this 18% magic number we are talking about, right? And that particular figure on that table, below the table, you will see in brackets reserve margin.
You said page what?
So if you go to the page 25, that is the page 25 on the document. The document page,
generation
not the number page.
Source availability in 2022, or is it the generation capacity projected peak demand?
So you will have, so you are projected. So you should have a table there. Yeah, generation capacity and projected peak demand. Perfect. Section 3.2.2. Don't even waste your time reading all the data. Look at the table below. When you look at that table, underneath that table, you see the interpretation or the legend for that table. You have a green line that says electricity deficit or excess or deficit. You look carefully at that, the lines running. You will see how many negatives we have there. February, we had a positive excess of 4. I mean, this is basically if you are counting it in megawatts.
Yeah.
From February all the way through to November, even into December, can you see how the deficit was increasing? By December, we're at minus 139. But the magic number I want you to look at is reserve margin, the one in yellow. In brackets, it says what? 18%. That is the target that Ghana has always gone with, the international practice. You try and focus on that. Now, please scroll down to page 69. That's where you would see our current situation. And it actually, this time, it's not even in graphs. It puts it in black and white. So that when we are seeing that there is doom, so we know it's okay for somebody to say, our demand, we only need 3,500 and we are producing 5,000. That means we have got excess of what? 1,500 and we are overpaying. But when anybody does an intelligent review of these energy reports that are available to all the politicians that come and make noise and politicize our energy, they'll realize what it is. In fact, as far back as 2020, this Energy Commission report, if you go back to the 2020
page 69 reads, is it chapter 7, conclusion and recommendation, is it?
So there's a paragraph on there. Let me get you, just give me 1 second. Yes, so conclusions. section 7.1.1, electricity.
Yes.
Go to the third paragraph.
Okay. Power generation capacity.
Before we read that third paragraph, as far back as 2020, the 2020 Energy Outlook report had predicted that by 2023, our energy demand may begin to get to a point where it's being outstripped by what is available by way of supply.
Sure.
And so you look at this and you continue to, in fact, that is one of the reasons why NAPO recently signed another energy contract. Barely last month, if you check it. Now, if technically we are in excess, why are they signing a new contract to produce more excess? So this is where it doesn't make sense. But let me read that paragraph. I'm sure you can correct me if I add or take anything away.
Go ahead.
It says power generating capacity of 5,449.1 megawatts with a total dependable capacity of 4,975. So almost 500 megawatts already is shaved out when you look at dependable capacity. Because those in there will tell you that what you get, my brother, when you cook kenke, it's not every single piece of corn that will be attached to the kenke you pull out.
No.
Some of the kenke will mix with the water at the bottom.
Yes.
You will lose some for one reason or the other. Let's put it that way, very simple. So our total kenke is 5,500 balls of worth of mole. But by the time the kenke comes out, it's only 4,975 kilos worth.
Yes.
We've lost more than 500 for that. And there are many reasons. I'm not the expert to go into this. He says, dependable capacity of 4,975.2 megawatts will be available for power generation 2022.
Sure.
So already that portion that you are losing, if you had targeted 4,900, you will get actual less by about 4,400.
Sure.
So you don't just do a simple calculator and say we are losing this. Now let me carry on. However, considering planned units maintenance and fuel supply situation, remember I said earlier on, so now Sogli can go on maintenance. Every year, every single plant would have to go on a maintenance schedule. Nothing works forever.
No.
All of us will have to take a holiday for maintenance, for recharge.
Sure.
However, considering planned unit maintenance and fuel supply situation, it is anticipated. Now, this fuel supply situation, is it the NDC causing it? If there's not enough gas or heavy fuel oil to power the plants, is it the NDC's fault? But the combination of maintenance and fuel supply situation is anticipated that up to 4,044 megawatts of total dependable capacity will be available. I'll stop there. So you are starting with 5,449.
Yeah.
Let's just call it 5,500.
Yeah.
You are ending up with only 4,000. 1,005 is gone out the window for many reasons. Now, are you going to say that 1,005 is your excess capacity? Doesn't make sense. Then it then goes on to say that 4,044 megawatts of the total dependable capacity will be available to meet the expected system peak demand of 3,545. Now, let's stop here for a second. So somebody say, okay, that means then you still have a 500 megawatts waste. That's the difference between the 4,044 available and the 3,045. That is what available for use. I mean, that is our demand. And this 3,005 is inclusive of what we are able to export. That's peak demand when we are even exporting to Cote d'Ivoire, to Burkina Faso. And we have been net exporters. We have not imported energy in the last, since President Mahama put his plans in place. In fact, we have been earning, as of 3 years ago, we started earning about $100 million every year from Burkina Faso alone. Burkina Faso Energy Company, we sign even more contracts with them, right? So even that has become an opportunity for us to make more money to stabilize our city. But let's park that for a second. Now, it says that with that expected peak demand of 3,545, with a reserve margin of 14%. How did they get it? It simply took the difference between 4,000 and 3,545 and it struck out what the reserve would be. And I don't think this is a lot of work for us to do. You know, 10% of 4,000 would have been 400.
Yeah.
Right? So the other 4% is adding up to the difference of that amount to give you 14% reserve margin.
Yes.
Mansa Musa, do you remember on page 25, what was the magic number for reserve margin? 18%.
8. Okay, I need to go back.
18%, remember?
If I knew you were going to ask, I would have written it down.
Yes. This is why I send the document to you. So when we talk here, nobody will say, I am doing conjuring or I'm doing voodoo stuff. This is Energy Commission report.
Yes.
Simple. Research shows, Mansa Musa, that once you get, remember we said plus or minus. So from the 18%, if you have 15, it's okay, you can manage. If you have 21, you won't be losing too much. But once you go out of that safety threshold of plus or minus 3 on the 18%, it can cost you as much as $1 million a day. This is research conducted in the United States. I know that may not be $1 million for the size of our economy, but let's even assume that that is 1 million Ghana cedis a day. So what we are saying today at 14%, and this is 2022, I agree that in 2020, our reserve margin was probably higher. But that was because we were yet to finish off some infrastructure that President Mahama has started for us to export more.
Sure.
And I will touch on that very briefly in a bit. But Mansa Musa, when you follow this, I'm not an energy expert. I'm just a miserable bean counter. That's the pejorative form for call accountants. Yes. I read this report and I use my calculator and I do this. And the report itself clearly says that for 2022, our reserve margin is 14%. And this has been falling since then. From 2022, our reserve margin has fallen to 14%.
Yes.
Meanwhile, we are supposed to have a safety reserve margin of 18%.
18.
So what it then means is that because our reserve margin is below that good practice one, if Suna Asogli goes on maintenance, there has to be Doomso.
Yes.
This is why Doomso has come back on us. 2017, you weren't getting 18, 19, 20. You are not getting Doomso because we have a lot more reserve margin to cover off.
So it means now, anytime there is need for some repairs or maintenance, then it means that reserve have to be distributed equitably. So that's why there is Doomso here for a while and Doomso there for a while. You see, this technically is bad management, isn't it?
No, this is the good practice is that you have that reserve there.
Yes.
It's like every car has a fuel tank.
Yes.
The fuel tank has a reserve.
Yes.
Every motorbike has a fuel tank. Sometimes your fuel tank in your car is as much as a quarter, 25% of the value of the tank. So that if I'm on the middle of M25 and I am sitting in traffic, and my thing goes into reserve, at least I have a quarter of a tank to get to the next fuel station.
Exactly.
That is the thinking. And that is why this kind of planning is why power doesn't go out. You don't have crippling power crisis in Western countries or countries that plan. That is the kind of resilience that President Mahama built into our system. Now, if we needed 18% and we ended up with, say, 36%, then you can argue that the extra 18% on the base is your excess capacity.
Yes.
Right? But this reserve margin, in what form is the reserve margin? In this country, there are many energy plants, power plants, most of them are thermal plants, that you keep it there. As soon as you need it, you crank it on. But it's owned by somebody. You have to pay them to keep maintaining it. Because if they don't maintain it, it's like having your diesel car. In winter, you never turn it on at all. You just say, oh, I don't need anybody to maintain it. The day you go to turn it, battery gone, or it won't spark. It won't turn on. And so when you are paying somebody to maintain this reserve margin, you can't say, oh, I'm paying them and not using it, because you use it when you need it. When maintenance is coming, and there's a schedule. If you read this report in detail, they have a schedule of which plant is going to go into maintenance, whether it's going to be car power, whether it's going to be Ameri, whether it's going to be the Takoradi thermal plant. They all publish their schedule every year, which means if from June to July, car power is going on maintenance and therefore their capacity is not going to be available, then we know that part of that reserve, it comes in. This is the intelligent way you manage an energy system. Rather than just sit down and, we need 100, so let's have 100. So if 10 goes out for maintenance, we are 90. That means somebody's lights might go off. What has happened is the NPP has managed, it's like decline management. They have whittled away all of the excess, the reserve margin that
the reserve. That's why I said technically, even putting the politics aside, but of course you can't put it aside because they are the managers of the economy and everything. So technically, what we have at the moment, looking at 14% instead of 18 and maybe a little above, is a poor management, because you should foresee and you should know that when in times of how do you call it, emergencies, you fall on your reserves. And where your reserve, like the money, even our money reserves apparently it's all very gone anyway. So
it's gone. We have no research until the World Bank gave us money.
The politics of it is that things have been managed poorly. Why do you think this man from World Bank is rather, trying to shift the argument well into the court of Mahama? What do you think? What do you think is happening?
There are two reasons. One, because he thinks, like I said at the beginning, this World Bank and IMF, when they want to do blame, they make the one sitting there feel comfortable by blaming the predecessor. They have always done it. Trust me. By 2025, 7th of January, when President Mahama takes over, this same World Bank director, hopefully he will be there. He will write letter to President Mahama, bet me, on my last dollar. He will write letter to President Mahama and you will see the truth come out. That's what they always do. But he should have at least learned to be a bit quiet on this one, because this one he goofed. Just based on my ignorant analysis alone of this report, this is Ghana Energy Commission report, not Conrad Dumbe's annual report card. It is there clear that we are now, as of I'm talking 2022. So this number here has even gone down further as we speak now.
Exactly.
Because every year, if you look up, you will see that every year our energy demand goes up by extra 10%. So in 2022, let's just do simple mathematics. If in 2022 our reserve margin was 14%, and 2023 demand has gone up by 9.2%, deduct 9.2% from 14, what do you get? That means our reserve margin is now down. Let me even give the 2 to Abonsam and keep the 9. 40 minus 9, that's 5. So technically, as we speak, our reserve margin, by the time the 2023 report will be done, will be sitting somewhere around 5%. We are now, they say 18 is good. Don't go below 18. And if you go below 18, it can cost your economy as much as 1 million Ghana cedis a month, a day. That's 30 million Ghana cedis. If you a year, it could be 306, and this is just conservative. And you are now gone down to 5. For every extra percentage you lose, you get $1 million, and you lose $1 million a month. So if you are supposed to even be at 13 and you are now at 5, that's an extra 8 million loss a day. Multiply that 8 million.
You see, for me, what I see about all this, in order not to bore our listeners, most of whom are not engineers or energy experts or university graduates and the rest. Look, in the nutshell, it is all about the energy sector management. People like Dr. Donko I spoke to. In fact, he mentioned his school he attended in Bristol, and most of them, almost, all these high-level qualified people have been trained outside and everything. We need to manage, putting politics aside, energy, transport, housing, it's all different things. But energy,
it is corruption, we need Mansa Musa. Let's not go far. Mansa Musa.
I was running around it, but it comes down to corruption. You see,
look, when they took over, they knew that the contract President Mahama had put in place, plus the plan President Mahama had. President Mahama's plan, and I'll add that and come and land. One of the plans for us to become a big player in the West African power pool. And so he secured funding for Gridco to expand the capacity to transmit. From Huni Valley, there was going to be a massive, a refreshed, new massive, if you like, transmission station there. Another one in Kumasi, another one at Kintampo, another one at Tamale, another one at Bolga, another one at Paga, the border with Burkina Faso. Where you have all these refreshed lines and transmission systems, our transmission losses will reduce. And we are then able to seamlessly power all excess energy that we don't need to Burkina Faso. In fact, we had signed contracts with them. And this same government, in 2017-18, they signed contracts worth almost $500 million with, combined $500 million with Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, for all of this excess power to be evacuated to them. What happened to that? They collected the money from Alliance Française de Développement, the French development agency. That was to go to Gridco. They chopped that money. That has not happened. And because of that, we are only collecting. Instead of the $500 million we should be exporting and collecting, we are barely making $100 to $150 million. And then, because the contracts President Mahama had signed, they knew that these were all good for Ghana. But they knew because they didn't sign them, no more kickbacks for them. So for the next 10, 20 years, there will be no need for power plants to be set up. So they started cancelling them. After cancelling all of them, most of them, Now, they are now re-signing contracts. You know what they are doing now. They are now re-signing the same contracts they cancelled. And you know, when you cancel a contract, you pay a penalty. So standard 10%. If we enter in the contract and you come and say, oh, don't deliver again, some of that, it depends on what you sign. It can be 10%, it can be more. So we pay 10% at least for each of these signed contracts. Now we are busy signing the same contracts. But now we are signing them. It's not like a button you can just sign an agreement and the power come the next day. It will take a couple of months, if not a year or two, for the power to come on stream. In that time, Ghanaians will be suffering doomsday. I can't blame people like Pierre Laporte because they have got generators at home. So when there's doomsday, he doesn't even notice it. It's got automated, the rich people in Ghana. You have that automatic generator that kicks in so that you don't even notice. So they don't know what the impact of this is. But the NPP deliberately cancelled power plants that we needed so that they would then be able to start signing them like Napo has started signing and get his share of the 10%. And that is why we're in this mess. But then, this is the interesting thing, as Dr. Donko said. If we have excess power, question one, why did they extend the contract with Car Power for another 20 years? So that means the NPP government decided to extend our excess capacity charges for another 20 years with Car Power. Send Power, another 10 years. AXA, you know the famous AXA, another 15 years. And most of this, see, every energy contract you sign,
all that, they will tell you they are being clever in that their monthly or yearly repayments will be lower. But then it will take a long time. So in the end, you accountant and the banker, in the end, you'll be paying more.
Well, it depends on how you deal with it. But on average, sometimes the longer you take, from the front line perspective, you may pay more, even though from a present value perspective, because of how long it takes you to pay, it might be less.
The reason I'm saying this is that, those days that I was foolish enough, young man, and instead of saving money, I use it to buy a huge 4x4, what do you call it, Grand Cherokee, you see, and enjoying my ride. That higher purchase originally should have amounted to $7,000. It was actually $7,000, so I paid $4,000. Then I started paying the $3,000 in installments. Then after a while, a year or so, I don't remember. There was a money shortage. Job as a what do you call it, freelance construction worker was not happening. So I needed to renegotiate. They, instead of ending in 3 or so years, they extended it by another 2 years. In the end, when I calculated, I paid, instead of around 7 or 8, even $8,000, I paid nearly $12,000 for the same vehicle. You see, so you can extend it, but when you extend it, it makes it easy for you to pay it small, but in the end, you see that you have paid a lot. I don't know, anyway.
No, that is true. That is true if you look at it on the face value of it. But you see, even with that 20 years, so the government is telling us, Pierre Laporte is telling us, there's excess capacity now. And yet the government has decided to. So when the contract for that excess capacity contract, when the tenure for that excess capacity contract comes to an end, don't you stop it?
Exactly.
You stop it so that you save yourself. Here is the case. It has come to an end. So thank God, now no more excess capacity. But guess what? I'll renew the excess capacity contract for another 20 years. Where does that make sense? In which school of common sense do you find that particular syllabus?
Because you see, we have to be very sure that the generating capacity, they, especially the NDC and MPP side, they are going to say, how do you know if the generating capacity has not been reduced this time around so that it will not cause or create any excess? That is the argument. That's why I asked for documents to prove that the new signings actually will create the same outcome so that they cannot argue.
This, when you get it, just look at take or pay. Every single energy contract. If you sign an agreement for me to supply you 2 bottles of milk every morning, for you to pay me a direct debit of £10 a month,
When I bring that bottle, you know these farms that they'll drive it around your place.
Yes.
Especially rural area, they can't put the bottle in front of your house.
Yes.
If you decide that I don't want to drink that milk, you sign that contract. You are liable for that money.
NFM
so
Radio.
if you choose not to use it, you will still have to pay them.
Yes.
Can you cancel it? If you cancel your direct debit, what do you think will happen? Go for a phone contract, my brother. Take it. 1 year phone contract, 2 year phone contract. And decide, oh, me, I don't even use the minutes anymore. Therefore, I will not pay. When they are delivering every month, if you want to cancel, they will still charge you. If you don't use it, they will still charge you. So when you go into a contract, think about it. Mansa Musa, you are an energy expert. You have money. You have your company. You want to go to Ghana and set up an energy plant. Government of Ghana says, you come. We want you to deliver to us 2 megawatts of energy every single day. And we'll pay you in return $1 million, let's say 100,000 Ghana cedis for that amount. Your job, you have to go and raise money, build your plant to be powering or pushing 2 megawatts into the system all the time. If government comes to say, oh, we don't need that power now, but you've already incurred your cost. Your energy plant is already sitting there. You've already got your gas or your heavy fuel oil that is running the plant. You have got employees, Ghanaians, that you have to pay. So because government says today I can't use that power because I'm doing maintenance anywhere, who should bear the loss? And so some of the things we say, sometimes every single energy contract has take or pay clauses in it to protect the producer. Check any contract, even in this country. Look, let me make it simple. You and I, today, if you want, turn off all your lights for 1 month. You still get electricity bill. There will be something called what? Standing charges. They will charge you a particular amount every single day. Whether it's gas or electricity, there are standing charges. I know now it's gone up, so sometimes it can be between 33 pence to 56 pence, depending on which energy company you go to. Why do you think they do that? Because there's a fixed cost of delivering that to your house. So when we sit down, see, the problem with us in Ghana sometimes, we refuse to see common sense in some of the things we do. Remember the Ameri scenario, where government paid them nothing. They were to find their own money, come and buy their own plant. As they produce and we use, we pay them. And after 5 years, the plant will be ours. What did the MPP say then? It's a bad contract, it's a whatever. At the end of the 5 years, when Ameri will say, okay, now we've made our money back, please come and take your plant. What did they tell Ameri? Please stay there. They extended Ameri for a couple of years. Now they say, okay, let's move the Ameri plant down into Kumasi. So we need to stop playing politics with some of these things, because energy is the bedrock of any developed country. If you don't have energy, you can't power your industry. If you don't have energy, my aunt selling pure water by the roadside won't be able to chill it, or drinks won't be able to chill it, especially in the very hot weather. Whenever lights are out, everybody in our part of the world, it's not just that, even in this country, you will need it to develop. And so we should do everything we can to use for once common sense to make sure that we have constant power supply and stop trying to always hoodwink people. Oh, NDC gave us huge debt. How much? You lie, that is 1 billion a year. After 4 years, when they say come to parliament and show, you can show 900 million. Then let me dare say 900 million divided by 4 years. To even pay 200 million itself, right, as what they call excess. What they did not subtract from it was the extra 100+ million that we were getting from Burkina Faso every month. We didn't even talk about what we get from Benin or Togo or Cote d'Ivoire. We need to be intelligent about this. We are in a strategic position where we can power our neighbors and cheaply so, and in so doing create jobs. If we have that power corridor, that President Mahama planned, we allow foreign companies to come in and build their power plants, give us the energy we need. The excess is sold straight to Cote d'Ivoire, sold to Burkina Faso, as we do now. Since the 70s, we have always been net importers of power. It was President Mahama that turned it around since the 70s and made sure we were now net exporters, making hard currency, dollars, from power export. I'm not saying we have, look, this one is simple. Get Car Power to bring their plant. Pay them, let them produce the power into the system. In fact, you don't pay them, you pay them when they produce. As they produce, you use what you can and pay for it. What is left, you give it to your Burkinabe brother and collect dollars and make your city stronger. Who pay where? Who pay them? This is common sense, my brother.
We are listening to Mansa Musa with Conrad speaking about or discussing the recent comments made by Mr. Pierre-Frank Laporte, or Laporte, as I call him, And his comments has really riled some people within the NDC fraternity on the wrong side, and they are not happy at all. Anyway, if you are listening, you are an NPP fellow, and you think, everyone else have got it wrong, you can call in as well and make your point clear. Anyway, Conrad, let's go on to another issue, if we may. And that is, tomorrow was June 4th. And to me, before I go on, Becky Stone and Mary Gardner extends their greetings to you, yourself, and to me. Mary on YouTube and Becky on Facebook. So that is a message. Then Mr. Thomas Anaba said the World Bank country director should just go in from it should go in from an NPP membership card. Okay, so he said that man should go for NPP membership card and everything will be clear enough. Right, so coming back to live discussion, yesterday marked, is it the 44th year of June 4th? Man, they grow.
Mansa Musa, very quickly. You see, what my brother Thomas Anabaha just said reminds me of a funny development. Do you know that the former country director for the IMF, remember the chap that was called something, Maxwell something Tuna? He was the guy when the Honorable Adungo exposed the government for hiding the energy sector debt,
yes,
and other what do you call it? No, the true quantum of the bailout, bank bailout. When they decided to report it under the line and not on the line. In other words, instead of adding it to the numbers, and we see they didn't add it to the numbers, but they just did a small note somewhere. And he came and said, "Oh, every country can report the way they want. It's fine." Do you know that guy? When our governor for Bank of Ghana used to work at IMF, that guy was reporting into Governor Addison. When he was made IMF boss in Ghana, whatever they were doing, he was looking the other way. We should go and look at the agreement. No, this IMF bailout agreement we've had. They forced the same government that they say you can report however you want to add all of them back, which then made our deficit so terrible. Meaning that we now have to go and borrow from IMF more than 3 times the highest amount we have ever borrowed. What does that tell us as a country?
Exactly.
When these IMF guys are here praising us, sometimes we have to be careful. We need to know what we want and get just that. No more, no less. When you go to a market and you're looking for Kita school boys, don't go and buy mackerel. If they're offering you mackerel, thank them and buy your Kita school boys and go. So it's a warning to us. So what Lapora says, it's not about even the NDC. Every Ghanaian should be asking ourselves whether what we have today, people are suffering power outages, doing so, and you are telling them in the face that, oh, there's excess capacity. If there's excess capacity, why are we suffering doing so?
That's a good
Is it
question.
the case of we living like Bob Marley, that in the abundance of water we are going thirsty?
You see, in the abundance of water, I've even forgotten. I will take water very soon. I'm feeling thirsty. Anyway, let's carry on a bit. And yesterday was June 4th commemorative time, and I know you have a lot to say about June 4th, but my own perspective, it looks as if you, the NDC fraternity, I'm not in Ghana, but the report I heard is almost the same. It's like you people are not very enthusiastic about your own, how do we call it, your history and like where you came from and the rest. You know, you people are not enthusiastic at all. I personally had to go around begging on platforms. NDC people, come, let's talk about June 4th. I was thinking that people will immediately rush to come and say their bit about June 4th, where even the smallest bit, either they were in the thick of affairs, the PDS and WDS, or whether they were in the army themselves or they were working GNTC, those kind of sharing rice and corn and those things, or whether they are in the village and all those kind of things. But your people, very, very strangely, people decided not to bother. Why do you think that is happening?
Thank you for that question, Mansa Musa. I think there are 2 angles to this. The first more general point is that as a country, not just NDC, as a people, we seem to be losing touch with our roots. And why do I say so? If you go back to the spirit at independence, where Ghanaians were all very proud to be Ghanaian.
Yes. If you watch the black and white films of those times, the energy and the enjoy, enthusiasm. Enthusiasm, the happiness on the faces of Ghanaians. You carry on.
So generally, there is a trend that it will appear that is the situation where generally we are now less. We now feel less patriotic towards our country than to ourselves. What do I mean by that? We are now in a season where it's everybody for himself, God for us all. You are less likely to get patriots who will stand up and be counted for, and that includes some of the elders, the elderly statesmen who should be rallying with the youth and say, stand for truth, stand for values. These days you hear our okonfos, our pastors, our imams, our priests, our chiefs, our elders, our opinion leaders are all getting pickups for silence. They're all getting small here, and they won't tell the truth. And they won't tell us how it all came about. So much so that we are even in a state where we are denying the founder status of President Nkrumah and cutting and slicing to say there's a Founders Day and there's Kwame Nkrumah Day. So that general sentiment is there. I won't deny it. Although there is another complex. There is another some research that shows that every generation always feels that they are more dedicated to the cause than the next generation.
Sure.
So you'll find that our parents used to tell us, "Oh, you don't know anything." In our days, this is how we do it. We are pretty much saying the same thing to our children now. We look at our children and say, "You don't know what life was. We had to go 2 meals a day." Our parents used to laugh and say, "You are even getting 2 meals you are talking." We used to eat granules and drink water and walk barefoot to school. Their parents will even say, "You are even lucky you got to go to school." We were shepherds and farmers, so we didn't have the option. So every generation, for a certain reason, maybe it's a symptom of progress. So that maybe specific research needs to go into it for us to establish whether these are perceptions or these are reality. But from our view, my reality may be different from your reality. I'll give you an example, and that tails me into my second question. When I was a young man, a small boy, anytime there was June 4th in Ghana, in Bolga, that's where I grew up. There's a famous park called St. John's Park by the Catholic Cathedral. There will be a massive parade, and sometimes Rawlings will fly in a helicopter, and there will be a march past. You do whatever, whether it's Independence Day or whether it's, Rawlings used to come there very frequently. If I didn't go to the park, I wouldn't see anything. Those days, there were no phones. Let's be honest. I might go to sit down and be listening to UPRISING radio to follow. Everybody wanted to be there. Everybody wanted to see. In fact, we all did march past, right? We all used to march in the heat for 7. I'm not sure if it is still done now, but I can bet you people will say my son won't do that. They'll get his stroke. So things are changing. Now, today, back to that point, back in those days, when there was a June 4th celebration and Rawlings was hosting it in Accra or in Kumasi, because it used to rotate, all the cadres, even in the days of NDC, in the early mid-90s to up to 2000, the regional ministers, all the DCs, they will all trudge from wherever they are all the way to Accra to participate in it. And some of party members, the only way you could witness it was to also go there and be there some, especially if you were in a village where there was no TV. There was no even black and white TV, unless information ministry van were to come and be doing cine to show those things. It's information service van. That's another example. You don't see them these days, because information is disseminated virtually digitally. Now, so when we did all those things, it made us feel we were part of it, and truly we were part of it. You walk to the park, you see it live, feel it. Today, my brother, from the comfort of their home in Kukurantumi or Nzulezu or Pusiga or Hamele, all they do, they don't even need a TV set. The thing is being shown live on Facebook Live. So they'll go on their phone and they're almost participating. In fact, as I'm sitting here in the comfort of my study, you and I are having conversation. If it was the 1990s, I have to make my way to you. And we'll sit there and do it live and call it. And then it will come up on radio. Because then there was no internet. So the question you
remind me of them days. Life was a bit much slower because, like you said, no mobile, no this, no that. If you are lucky, I had a telephone at home. That is middle class sort of lifestyle a bit.
That's the bourgeoisie.
You see, but if your girl, doesn't have a phone at home, that means you have to write a letter. So I tried. I was good enough, or a little bit, with the English language. So I will write about 2-3 pages. Wait for a week or two for a reply to come with the answer, me too, or no. Me too.
So me too. That means you were one of those men who was always writing from the sugar mountains of Equiapem to the honey hills of Afajato.
The brightness of the daytime. Is it so?
The brightness of the daytime, the pen pal days. Yes. Today we make friends on Facebook.
I will swim the longest river, the biggest oceans in the world to come and see you. I will climb the highest mountain to come and see you. I will run through fire to come and see you. Then at the end of the letter, see you this evening. If it doesn't rain.
Exactly. And if you are lucky and it doesn't rain and somebody else has not already sent a letter for you.
You see, so you write 3 pages. You write 3 pages, and if she's even agreeing to it, all what you get is, oh, me too, I love you. That's it. And for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, you are waiting for that. You see what I mean?
that is the point, the picture I'm trying to paint, Mansa Musa. So today, we would think that, these kids, how do they even do it? How do they even go around finding somebody?
Yes.
Today, they'll do Facebook and all those, whatever. Me, I'm not also savvy. There's TikTok, there's Instagram and all that. I don't know which one is which. They'll find themselves on there. Those days, we had our analog. The question is, does it mean we were more dedicated in the context of this dating thing you're talking about? Were we more dedicated? Did we love our sweetheart more than these our youngsters do today? Taking the same thing here, the man who had to travel from Pusika all the way down to Kumasi for June 4th celebration, more dedicated to the cause than his present day descendant, who from the comfort of their, if you like, phone, right, smartphone, is able to fully participate. In fact, he can give his speech remotely. Like Dr. Kwamna Donko has just given us a splendid rendition via phone.
Yes.
And so when it comes to taking a guess on whether or not the enthusiasm is down or not, if I'm watching the program from my room, you will not know. If I was on the page, they say, oh, Charlie, people came. But these days, unless it is something like Facebook Live where you're monitoring the amount of attendance, it's difficult to gauge the interest. And that may not even be accurate because I can just log in and be doing something else. And so that's why I find it a bit hesitant to say that the enthusiasm is down compared. But we have that sentiment. We feel so. Our parents even feel. In fact, some of the old kids, they look at us and say, people are not even doing anything compared to what we did. You guys are fake comrades. You are fake.
You see, the reason why I made that complaints to you is that when I send out the information, the requests, and so forth, yes. I had 1 or 2. Count me in. I'll come. Just like meanwhile, the information is on NDC people.
I'm guilty, but this is the reason, and I'll give my reason. I'm sure many others may have had reasons. I had already got a prior program to represent the party against my brothers on the MPP side. At the same time yesterday, in fact, yours came a couple of days. I said this would have been great for me to be there, but I had to represent the party on another program, so I couldn't respond because that would have been the program from 4 to 6, and yours was 3 to 6, I believe.
Yes.
So it wouldn't have worked. And I'm sure most of my other brothers may also have
had
or the other.
Fair enough.
But perhaps next
honestly
time,
speaking, if it is apathy, you see,
and ask them to allocate somebody.
I don't think that is organic. Look, if it is something about some serious discussion about something, I go through the communication department, blah blah. I understand. But for June 4th, 31st, it should be natural, organic. Anybody, everybody. The moment you see it on platform, Mansa Musa is talking about June 4th or let's say 31st. You don't need to be alerted by your communication officer or you don't have to be the communication officer to respond, because you have.
That is what we presume,
you understand
the
me?
Communication officer. I'll be honest with you. I'm on several WhatsApp platforms. You know, sometimes I see some of the messages very late. I can open my phone and you see this one is 1,000, this one is this. And there are some particular platforms that I want to take my time.
Conrad, now we are doing this in conversational. Something funny. Now, Auntie Becky is writing me a letter. The brightness of the day gives me the opportunity to pen down. And then she's ended. What a memory. Then she goes in again. It says, June 4th lives in my heart. The values and principle is embodied in my thoughts and actions. The writing on the Facebook is very small. Let's say, please forgive me. That's why I'm fumbling a bit. I couldn't see it well. But Auntie Becky, it's all well and good you are saying this now. But seriously, this should have come yesterday and it would have boosted the morale. You see? But I will accept, at least you have said something. When you assure me, Mansa Musa, especially that the spirit of June 4th is still embodied in your thoughts and everything, that is really good to know. And that to me is very important. It's not only about NDC following and wearing the badge. You should have the love of what you are doing as well. And you always have to, expose that, let that show. Like the Roman Catholic officer say, brighten the corner where you are. And that is it. Anyway, thank you, Auntie Becky. Now let's go, Conrad. So you are saying that, maybe some people have other things to do. But let's agree that
is not necessarily a valid excuse. All I'm saying is that I have a reason why I wasn't able to respond. And I'm sure others may, but I can't speak for them. But before I carry on, pen me down June 4th next year, wherever, however, you and I on that day, unless anybody else wants to take my slot. But at least, minimum, I'll be available to speak to it. But I think I'm not saying what the questions you've asked are very relevant. Perhaps it's a wake-up call for us as comrades, as social democrats, as adherents to the June 4th spirit and the principle, not necessarily the day itself, the principles behind it, for us to rededicate ourselves to it. But I know there are many reasons, because every year, as former chairman of Milton Keynes, June 4th used to be celebrated in Milton Keynes branch. So every single year, but I'm sure you know that in the situation we are in, which I can go into, branch activities are effectively frozen. So the opportunity to have a June 4th at a branch level or at a chapter level didn't quite mushroom for unfortunate reasons. But I'm glad our comrades in Ghana did that. But for me, this is remind me, I'll tell you a joke at the end. For me, the most important thing is what Auntie Becky has said. What is the spirit of June 4th screaming out at us about the current state of us as a party, as a people, as a country? I always say this, Mansa Musa. If we repeated June 4th today, I can bet you Ghana's population will be halved at the very least.
Jesus Christ.
If you go through June 4th,
scary.
Look, General Utuka was put on firing squad for taking a loan of 50,000. That amounted to corruption. There are reasons why. When you use your power to influence, if I'm a director for GCB and I force GCB to give me a loan as a director that I will not pay back.
You see, in hindsight, that was petty. That was really petty.
You say it was petty because what I'm trying to say is
that's what I'm saying in hindsight, looking at it from today's perspective. That's what I'm saying in hindsight. Because 50 cedi loan, compare that one to somebody who actually say it on air that the COVID money, you only gave me 100,000 cedis and the rest. I mean, imagine. Yeah, you have to shoot such person about 10 times. You have to shoot them, bring them back and shoot them again, bring them back. Anyway, it's not funny.
That's the point I was getting to. But I don't want to condemn Utuka's execution because I wasn't there. I don't know. And I know as somebody that even corporate governance these days, sometimes some jurisdictions, they ban the giving of director loans because people abuse it. Like what Otabil and Co did with their bank. Literally, as a director, you take almost all the money.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you
if it is for the state.
My little brother, in a respectful way, comrade. Let me tell you something. Look, that Utica thing and the rest you are talking about. There was a time, I think I'm looking at 86, 87, thereabout, or maybe even 88. you know, we were the following Rollins. So one day, there was something, and it was like a general debate. The market women, somebody, they all came to the castle, and Rollins met them in front of the castle. You know, when you are driving into the castle, the first gate,
yes,
outside where the petrol dump is, just there.
Yeah.
Then he landed in a helicopter. Just before, you know, no, helicopter came already, but just before he was going to go out, some crowd of people came. And we were full. I was there. He said, telling the journalists those days that please do not publish this. And he said, look, he spoke in Ghana English and told the women that, look, what happened and the few things, and this one, he was talking about June 4th, but it was in the 80s, those days. And he said, what happened with those military officers who were killed? And he said, look, he didn't say that, but later I got to know that the pressure coming from Britain and America and the rest for him to stop. Otherwise, he personally takes responsibility. So, but he said, look, the other ranks, the anger in the other ranks, he said, look, it would have been 10 or 20 times more the senior officers. Honestly, he said he personally, I mean, literally had to beg them. He said, as a captain, I was begging sergeants and corporal and full corporal, said, hey, we've got to be careful, we've got to calm down, we've got to, you know, what we've done is enough. It will serve as a deterrent. Calmed down. He said, you know, so what we are talking about, that man's execution and this thing, look, when you lead a revolution, you take those responsibilities. But he told them that day that even what happened, if some of them, the leadership, had not been able to control the young soldiers, he said it would have been more and more and more because there was so much anger. You know, so I needed to put it.
Not even the soldiers
I needed to put this across.
Let the blood flow.
Yes,
it was the general populace.
It was my teacher, Godwin Agbenevo, who made that comment. He's my teacher at Bema Complex. He was my teacher, English teacher. It's called Godwin Agbenevo. He made that thing at GBC. He said, let the blood flow. I remember those things very well, you know. Anyway.
And so I think that I'm glad you said this context. See, the market women who engage in Kalabuli, and you see what they suffered. If you go with that standard to Makola or Kaishi market today, I can bet you, I doubt how many market women will be innocent of Kalabuli. Kalabuli is now, it's not just the market women. All of us in Ghana, we are now all Kalabuli people.
Everyone.
We are all now Kalabuli people, led by, of course, this very government. I don't even know what word to use on them. A government, respectfully, is a government of kleptocrats. Corruption is now celebrated to the highest heavens. Indecency. Look at Witness Kumewu. Openly, before social media, they are being recorded. They don't care. They are issuing 50 cedi, cups of rice, cups of gari, cloths. Our politics has now become a cesspit of corruption. If we implement the June 4th principles, I'm not even sure whether those who are going to do the execution will start with themselves first or they'll finish with themselves. Because the police, literally, I mean, Agro Barometer tells you now the presidency is the most corrupt institution. The police never disappoint. But for one of the few times, the judiciary is right up there. Those who are supposed to be keeping justice. You see all the kinds of... See, corruption is not only about taking money. Sometimes a judgment can be deemed corruption.
Yes, of course, of course.
Doing the right thing and refusing to do it, you are corrupting the body core. Even our military, unfortunately, seems to be tainted elements. So there's almost no institution left in Ghana today. Oh, we used to say our chiefs. Now we find out that even our chiefs, they are selling their land for galamsey. If it is not corruption, what is it? Our reverend priests, our pastors, our imams, they see what is wrong, and they are either at worst defending it, or at best looking the other way and pretending they haven't seen. These are all parts of the things that people died for. The spirit of June 4th, I think that we need to try and rededicate ourselves to it. If we cannot root corruption out of our country.
Having said that about my complaint, we have to acknowledge or be thankful to those who made it to come and grace the occasion.
Absolutely.
Notably, Comrade Mbamba, he was here in the studio. Then Lonsagini and Ambrose, the three of them, carried the day with me. And so we
salute those three gallant comrades for flying the flag.
Exactly.
Definitely. We need to salute them for flying the flag and hope that as a collective we do better. But you see, to the point, a few lines. Corruption alone, and we're talking, this is data that is now 2 or 3 years old. Corruption alone is siphoning as much as $52 billion out of Africa. This is as of 2019, 2020. Guess how much our total foreign direct investments that we make noise about, FDI, into Africa is? 32 billion. So every year, and this is not the corruption, the ordinary corruption that, the petty corruption.
No.
It's not the petty corruption that we steal and keep in Ghana.
No.
You are talking about the grand corruption, because we have petty corruption, we have grand corruption.
Of course.
Grand corruption and state capture, where the money is stolen in so huge a level, is exfiltrated out of the country into Swiss banks, British banks, American and other places. 52 billion, right, goes out. How much FDI comes in? Barely 32 billion.
You see?
So every year, Africa exports a net of $20 billion out of Africa.
For the sake of mere mortals like myself, FDI is foreign direct investment?
Foreign direct investment. So if you have a foreign company that is coming into the country to invest. So it's a foreign investment, and they are coming to invest directly because, let's say, America comes to build a power plant, that's FDI. Or you are British. You are not a Ghanaian company, you are a British registered company. So even if you are Ghanaian, you start up a company here and it's a British flagged company and you go to invest in Ghana, that will count. So technically what is happening, when you invest your money, it's yours. But our politicians and top civil servants, judiciary and top big men will steal as much as over 52 billion, put it into various banks in the West. Those banks will then give only 32 billion of that to companies here to come back and invest in Africa and own it. So net basis, we are sending net of 20 billion out of this country. And when they die, like Abacha, you can't find Abacha's billions. How long did Nigeria take to try and get just a tiny fraction of the billions that Abacha filtered out? And there are many Abacha-lites across Africa. In Ghana, now you see them, they are all doing tax savings. That's why you see that gold deal, what were they calling it? Ejapa. They were looking to go to tax havens so that you know where the money is. That is how come our borrowing has moved from 120 billion in 2017. Currently, it's over 460 billion. More than almost quadrupled. We don't know where the money is gone. Where is it gone? A large chunk of it has been taken out of the country. And these people have built generational wealth on the backs of Ghanaians, and now we are in a debt trap.
You see?
If June 4th came back and these people were held accountable, let me be honest with you, data bank is a crime scene. Data bank is a crime scene.
I tell you, I mean,
yes.
Look, for me, I don't even know what to say. Look, it is those days, people say, oh, this is corruption, they are corrupt and that and that. But this time around, look, I will tell you the truth that I call something, I've got a name for or a terminology, which is very dangerous, but people who don't understand doesn't know it's a dangerous terminology, which is called the final showdown. And the final showdown, if you understand, is what happened in La Côte d'Ivoire and Rwanda. The final showdown. I think the final showdown will come to Ghana because there is no way. These people are saying we'll never hand over and they say, look, there is no way these people can handle war. They cannot. They will not. It's like in UK or in America, turkeys voting for Christmas, or in Ghana, sheep and goats and chickens voting for Christmas. You understand? They won't. They can't. And for that, there will be a final showdown. I don't know what you want to say about this. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I think that
let's hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, the NDC is prepared, and we must, not just as NDC, but Ghanaians. We cannot suffer. Look, that is 4 more, as General Mosquito said, Chairman General. We gave him 4 more. Within 1 year, we saw the impact of 4 more. Within 2 years, we are in the hands of the IMF. We can't even pay salaries. Salaries are delayed. People go and put their money in treasury bills, and then when it matures, you are not getting the money. So these guys, yes, I agree, they don't want to move because they know the rot that is there. But as Ghanaians, as NDC, we must summon that spirit of June 4th. It must be what? Do or die. Right? Not all die be die. It must be do or die. We must make sure we kick these crazy bad heads out. And not just out. But you see, this time round, every institution that is a crime scene in quotes, that has allowed itself to launder the proceeds of crime, like Data Bank, like Enterprise Insurance, like many of those so-called big men who have allowed their companies to be used to siphon huge sums of state funds, they must be put under the spotlight and proper accountability must be exacted on them. Now, if this is what happened in the 80s, I was a small boy in the 80s. Yeah? If this is what happened for companies that were seized and they came back and said, oh, you don't like private enterprise because you took our company. If you use your company as a money laundering tool, as a corruption tool, that company deserves to not just be taken away from you, including all these assets, but you yourself, you must go to jail. Your assets must be stripped to serve as a deterrent to we the young ones. Why do I say this? Mansa Musa, I am even worried about we the young ones. You know why? These are our elderly ones. When they even steal the money and they want to chill, they think, oh, let me get 1 or 2 guys and go and eat kebab, chinchiga, and drink beer. We have a very voracious appetite for jacuzzi, for private jet. It's only Nanado that rivals with the young men. You go to Nigeria, you see somebody celebrating a birthday, they go and hire private jet. Even in Ghana, we do it now. You see that president's cousin or nephew, he went to France to take a yacht to celebrate his birthday.
Yes.
What's the name of that guy?
Bediatu.
Bediatu. That is the scary part because we know how to chop money. We know how to buy plush houses. Those, our fathers and current days, most of them come out of politics penniless because they were recycling it back into the system. For us, we are buying holiday homes in Spain at the expense of the people. We are flying private jets. You see what Nanado has done? He has opened a can of worms in Ghana. Now, Magdan has a place for private jets. He's taking that place there where he can rent to people. So our stealing will just kill
NFM Radio.
The system. If we don't make an example of what these guys have done, how are we going to stop the next government from continuing kleptocracy? And then it then becomes as usual and becomes endemic, like in Nigeria now. We are learning all the bad things from our brothers in Nigeria. So for me, you should not have a situation where people get scot-free. See, my chaplain in the seminary used to say, look, you can do your confession, you'll be forgiven, but you must do your penance, the punishment. We get away with murder in Ghana, and that is why you have school kids, government announces, I'm going to add 20 pesos. What can 20 pesos buy to feed kids? So kids are fed on 1 cedi, 20 pesos a day. That can't even buy granules, roasted granules, the small one. And yet, go and see the budget for the presidency. Go and see Baumia importing 120 brand new Toyota Hilux pickups for his presidential primaries. Not even the campaign alone. If primaries is 120, I wonder how many vehicles we will be getting when it gets to what do you call it? When he gets to the actual show. Assume that he mistakenly wins. Look at the amount of money these people are burning like it's paper. If this system is not checked, if we don't draw a terminal line, and it's up to Ghanaians, I don't think that it's the duty of only NDC young men and women to go and fight and die for Ghana. Ghana belongs to Ghanaians, not NDC. And every NDC man is a Ghanaian with the same blood. We must all rally and make sure that these people cough every cent. Whatever the consequences, we must right the wrongs that have been done to Mother Ghana. The amount of money that has been stolen out of the system is more than enough to have made Ghana a paradise. If President Mahama look at the fantastic things he did, airports, ports, harbors, roads, power plants, even gas plants, look at how much he spent doing that. Barely less than 40 billion. He took debt at about 89 billion and left it at 120 billion. Now the debt is over 468 billion. What have we done with it? If not people building hotels, building mansions around. Every single such machine must be appropriated, and people have to be made examples of. I'm not saying we should line people up and shoot them, but even the judiciary, if any judge, as much as carries on, and this is the sad part, when Obechebi Lamptey decided, Jake, to appropriate a house that he was living in as a minister, to buy it from himself as a minister, and the judge sat there and said, it's okay. That was endorsing corruption.
Yes, of course.
Such rubbish should not be tolerated. And I'm glad that President Mills did the right thing. Every single person, there must be a clear signal. And if we, the NDC, do it to the MPP, we know that if we also steal, MPP will come back on us. And when they are also done, we will come back on them. And who's going to benefit? Mother Ghana.
Sure.
So Ghanaians should support the NDC with a resounding victory. And we must chase these guys out if they dare refuse to hand over. There is nothing wrong with them. They've done it before. They fled the borders to neighboring countries and fled to this country. If they want peace, they should hand over peacefully. But if they want it to be a final showdown, we know who is going to run away at the dead of night under their wife's clothes. They have a track record of doing that, not the gallant people of the NDC.
Let's go to another. We have
all.
about 5 minutes, I can say, let's say 10, to discuss it. I'm really enjoying your presence here today, big time. It's a fact, it's a big time. Let's talk about another thing, and that is your elections, the protracted one over here. Last week, I think it was Wednesday, I spoke with your overseas director, and that one too, I am complaining through you that I was expecting that you guys will thrown in here to maybe ask him 1 or 2 questions, and nobody came. And in the end, he came to speak about different, a different issue. But in the end, I had to ask him about what we call the elections here, And he came out with a very good response, And I would have thought that you guys will, barge in to say, look, or some people should have even said, look, whatever it is, he should make sure that this thing happens quickly or something. I told him I didn't call him for that specific issue. But when someone sent me an email and a text, and I had to ask, he answered very correctly. But my complaint is that that one too, you people didn't care at all. I don't know why, but I don't know what you have to say to that.
To be honest, I didn't. I'm one of those who didn't get to listen in, so I'm not really sure what exact response he gave. So perhaps if you summarize it, I can give my comments on it.
The response is a longish one, and all what I will do is it is on the the easiest one will be on the Facebook or YouTube. I will send you that one. I will send you, and you can listen in and know the response of the response to that particular question. I'm not asking you to respond to that response, but the fact that people didn't come to listen because he is the director himself. First, I wanted Makahin. I couldn't get him, so it was one of your big aunties, Betty Modi Druso, who contacted Alex and told him to come and speak with me on some certain different topics, So my grievance is that you guys didn't participate, even when your director of operations or foreign operations director came in and you put it in bother, even though I gave all of you the hint. So that is another complaint of mine.
No, it's a legitimate complaint you make. Again, I don't want to be giving my excuses online. I'm sure everybody had a valid reason for what they did or did not do. But I think that, look, I'm not qualified to comment on whatever reasons he gave. But the sentiment across, as you've said, every single person in this chapter, except, excuse me using the language, those who are clogging up the system with, in my view, petitions that are not even worth the, if you like, literary paper they are written on, should bow their heads in shame. At the end, the ICIC has been clear to us that the reason this election is delayed is because you have a rather disproportionately unreasonable number of petitions, in my view, calculated to slow this election down. It's as if, my in-laws have this term they call Angmeka Abahai. Those who understand it will know it. All it's simply saying is that if I won't get it, I will pour it out. I will hit it so that it will pour. It's like millet. If you are not giving me the millet, I'll hit it, pours into the sand, we will both lose.
Yes.
The NDC is the one losing in the end. The spirit of June 4th, if applied to this election, will let the elections happen quicker than the word quick. Sometimes you don't even need to open a tin to know what the contents are. And if you open it and it's a baseless, frivolous negation tinged with unreasonable projections, you don't even waste your time sitting down and giving it currency. Yes, everyone's concern should be looked at, but that should not be to the detriment of the wider good.
Exactly.
But once you have an institution, it has to do its work. We have various committees. They've been tasked with various jobs. They did the first part of their job and they published a draft petition. A draft electoral register. And I'm sure you remember you had a couple of my co-contestants sit in your platform and for weeks on end kept screaming at it as a bogus register. Whatever reason, nobody knows. Although those of us who know the pain that branches have been through to get to where we got to, know. And people just make noise without substance. The reason this election is not happening is because of we, the candidates. We are the ones who think we can throw the spanner into the works until we get what we want. But let me tell you something interesting. When you throw spanner into spokes, they will all be broken. And you are not going to get what you want. One thing we can assure people is that no amount of petition can create any injustice in this chapter. We will all respect the institution to do their work. But if Mansa Musa's name is supposed to be on the register, no matter how anybody waxes lyrical, no matter how much steam comes out from anybody's ears, that should not and must not take Mansa Musa's name out. Equally, if Mansa Musa's name is not supposed to be on the register, no matter how much noise anybody makes, no matter how much petitions anybody makes, that should not be allowed, that the person should be, let's put them back in. And of course, we all know this game. 4 years ago, some people did similar. Delay the elections too long and say, because it's now so long, those who are not qualified, let's put them in. It will not, and it shall not, and it must not happen. It is a shame that when we're talking of June 4th, we can't even shine the spirit of June 4th on the UK and Ireland. And this makes the case for the change that we need.
Just to play the devil's advocate here, what you claim to be maybe, in your words, a frivolous sort of petition or grievances, the other side would say that, well, all what they are seeking to do is to have a clean register. My question would be that, in your view, if we are to answer the question from the other side, in your view, are your registers now clean?
I'm not even aware. I speak for my branch. My branch register has never been dirty. So, and this is where I've always said something. If people want to say, okay, I'm using myself as an example. I was chairman of Milton Keynes for 5 years, and before that, secretary for the best part of 7-8 years.
Sure.
If anybody thinks that, look, let me go after Milton Keynes to prove that this man is corrupt, feel free. I can tell you something for free. When you look in Milton Keynes' bank account, you will not find.
I want to come and look in that bank account and I want to have control of it.
People have even leaked it.
I want to be given the freedom to manage that.
They've all seen it. It's public knowledge.
So that I can put my hand in it anytime I want. Like Jumo, what's the name? Kofi Jumo or Koku Jumo Agihok. Oh, that man can do something. I want to be the same. Anyway, go ahead.
What I'm saying is that you will not find anybody paying bulk money in on behalf of others except the legitimate officer, the treasurer of the party doing that. Some of the candidates writing petitions around, the volume of money that they pumped into various branches, sometimes in a very short space of time, these people would have been lined up at a June 4th state and shot. If we're
shall we say that each party has, the other side to blame on something.
Oh, if you be our Mensa, that one I can't be naive and think that all of us in the NDC are angels. Even me, I can't say I am an angel. But what I can say is that I am very confident that the CIC, the EC, they will look into all this, because that is not the spirit of what? The NDC. That is not the spirit. And the irony of it, my brother, is that those flooding the system, shocking the system with voluminous petitions, are the one who and their associates, those screaming around calling registered bogus, they are all part of those who were pumping money into various branches. Let any of those ones, they know themselves. Let them come and challenge me. I'll bring my branch, they should bring their branches. Let's open it and find out whose associates were paying monies in, and therefore whose branch is dirty, needs to be cleaned up.
I think the end, tell
us that others should clean their hands.
I think in the end, you guys will have to adopt the American system and just cancel the general voting and use electoral college, if that will help.
It doesn't suggest that electoral college may not be corrupt.
Exactly.
I think that the checks that have been done, the work that has been done, it should continue. For me, look, I will always cooperate, and I've said it anywhere. There's no committee that will say that I have not cooperated as former chairman, my capital former chairman, in answering any queries that are there. My branch, we have been met 6 times by the EC, 2 times by the CIC, and we provide responses and explanations for every single situation. Maybe other branches were listening to me. I'm just making it clear. We won't hide anything. We have nothing to hide. Our bank statements have been out there. In fact, I am a subject of one of the petitions. It shocked me to know that I was even more powerful than Napoleon, that I am controlling an electoral committee, that the current executives, on which 2 of my contenders sit, they set up these committees. They set up the appeals committee, the vetting committee, the electoral committee. And yet my miserable self, Conrad, is deemed corrupt and to be thrown out of the race because I have corrupted the electoral committee. How? Does it not then say that if you are a chapter executive and you go and set up a committee, and somebody who was not a chapter executive is controlling the committee, then what is your use? Then just give it to him to carry on. That means I'm ruling from opposition. So you might as well step down and let it carry on. But a petition like this, should you even look at it, my brother? That's what I meant by some of them, you open them, you look at it, and it's not even where the paper is written on. When a document has come from Accra that says Conrad Dumba, you are not allowed to vote in this election. You can join Milton Keynes branch, but you will not partake in this election. A register is done, and Conrad Dumba's name is not there. Then Conrad Dumba wakes up and writes a long petition saying I must be added. Meanwhile, the condition for my registration was that I have come at a time when I cannot be part of the electoral process. I agreed to it and signed to become a member. The moment I become a member, now I'm saying the election should stop until I am added. Mansa Musa, even without any details, would you even dare to support me in a case like this? Am I normal to even, if you like, agree to something and then seek to use that as evidence that it is wrong for me not to be there? For someone to write a petition insisting that all this must be added, a whole candidate who knows better and who was part of the process for agreeing this particular arrangement. You can ask IRD. They wrote that letter. I didn't write it. That letter is public. So some of these petitions, they beggar belief. They lead you to no other conclusion than the fact that it's just an attempt to either delay or frustrate the system. But guess what? The child that says the mother will not sleep. Let's see how they are also going to sleep.
Then lastly, you are being invited, I think, or apparently, I've been told, to Holland, Netherlands, to welcome your leader, your flag bearer. Ironically, it should have been here that those things are being held. Is that not it?
Absolutely. UK has been the premier inter pares, has been the pioneer. We worked hard to support the likes of Germany being set up in 2015, the executives then. We worked hard to support many diaspora branches. And it's a shame that we are a very ghostly shadow of our former selves as we speak today. No matter how much noise we make, nobody can deny the fact that as we are now, we look like a joke. The biggest butt of every joke. You go to Accra, and you talk about it, and they'll make joke-like comments about, so when are you guys going to get your act together and have your elections? Elections we've been trying to have for how long? And I can be honest with you, look, me, I have a sense of personal shame. If by the grace of God and the will of the people in this chapter, I am made chairperson. And half of the rubbish we are seeing here is what you see at the end of my tenure. I will do myself the honor, give myself the self-respect, and just not even bother to contest, if not even step down before then. We need to get to a point where we have a certain internal compass that says that I want to go north. If this thing carries going south, then maybe it is not me who is to lead this battle north. It was Moses that was to take us to the promised land. But in the end, Moses didn't get there. Joshua and Co took over. There is no shame in looking yourself in the mirror and say, I have done my part. Whether it's enough or not, if the results do not show
NFM
what I would
Radio.
have wanted, let me give somebody else the opportunity to do it. Not keep fighting over. I mean, when you have a heap of rubbish and you are fighting over it, what are you trying to do? And I'm not equating the chapter to a heap of rubbish, but we are in a situation where our younger brothers in Europe are doing it and we are not even part of it. In fact, they don't even want us there for many reasons.
What a shame. What a shame.
Lest we probably go and infect them with our attitude. We have to look internally and change. And this thing will not look. It does if we bring Jesus Christ and we carry on with this mentality. This chapter, the spirit of June 4th must be in us for us to see the truth and tell the truth. It doesn't matter whether whoever is there is my brother or my sister. Sometimes you need to speak truth so that we don't have the emperor's clothes syndrome. My brother, you know the emperor's clothes story. The person is stark naked. And yet,
I'm an emperor in this my castle, and believe me, I'm not naked.
They are all clapping and saying, well done. He's wearing the finest clothes. And he takes a little child to say, oh, but he's naked. And everyone say, that's true. We should never be shy to speak truth to each other. I'm not condemning anybody. I've not had the privilege of being a chapter executive. And if you have been a chapter executive and you've recycled yourself so many times, and each time you are in an administration, you are always at the forefront of leading disaster. Why do you even want to go to the help?
All right.
I believe that this chapter is scared. Our best days are ahead of us, but we must get our act together. And if I show any signs, if God willing, the good people of this chapter give me the opportunity to lead them, to serve them, and I show any signs of the kind of rubbish we have put ourselves in, move a motion and impeach me so that you bring somebody in. Then the person will also learn that this thing is not a joke. The UK and Ireland chapter, we have made ourselves the butt of every joke. We must stand up.
It is a shame. It is really a shame. That's all I can say. Listen, Comrade Colonel Damba, tonight you have really, I will even say, describe it as an entertainment, because I'm really happy, to have you here with knowledge in so many things, including, the energy sector debate, and that is rather too refreshing. I tell you what, let me know when you resume your campaign, what do you call it? That is your political campaign for election, when you resume to go on radio and TV. Kindly let us know so that, what I want to say is, make sure Mansa Musa is aware, or try to, come to my side, I'll be very happy to have you, to receive you.
This is home. Anytime, today when you send the message, I saw it fortunately. I worked in London today, so I had to rush around and try and make sure that the trains, they were delayed a little bit, but I barely got in. I remember I said I would get here at 7:30. I got here a bit late, so I haven't even had my dinner, but I had to come home. So anytime I get the opportunity, with or without the elections coming, I don't have any qualms about coming for us to Georgia for the betterment of our country, if not ourselves.
Brilliant.
I know it may not always be possible, but anytime I get the opportunity, and obviously the topic at hand is something I can contribute to, because I won't pretend to be a jack of all trades and come in every day I'm going here or going there. No, I will know my level.
It's not easy to be like that. I try to, but it's not easy. That you try to understand everything and talk about everything. It's not easy at all. Listen, we've got a television side which we are going to start to be on Sundays. So maybe one day, if you got your nicest batakali or something, you can come and me and you sit face to face on the TV. It will be beamed on Facebook and on YouTube and to Ghana, everywhere. And that will also...
absolutely. I've been to your videos, remember?
Have you?
Have you forgotten so soon? I came there with this other East London, MPP East London,
you see,
was it organizer or something?
You would have got lost this time. You would have got lost big time.
You don't change levels.
Man, levels don't change.
Hey, my brother, that.
If I send you the pictures, you will see the difference. Look, this is behind Tottenham Hale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Tottenham Hale. Just before Tottenham Hale. From the other side, not from Seven Sisters side, but from the Walthamstow side.
I'm a villager. I don't know London. So when I see the site, I don't even know which part is the site.
So
and the one.
So it means I have to send you the address so that whenever I want to come here. And one good thing about here is that the parking is available plenty and it's free. So especially you come here.
It's not like the other one. I have to go and park in front of people's houses.
That place was a hectic. No, this place is a business center, So, it's secluded, almost in the bush. So, apart from Sundays.
Congratulations on that.
Oh yeah, that's if you ask Mbamba, he will tell you. I mean, it's the coolest place you can get,
No problem.
And this side is bigger than what you came with. This one is big. Even the radio station, the radio is where I'm sitting is bigger than the place you came. Then we have another bigger room for the television separately. I'll send you the pictures. And
you are doing well. You guys are doing well.
Yeah.
Keep flying the flags.
What we want to ask everyone, is that those people in business, the entrepreneurs, I mean, they should come and support us. We don't want handouts. We want, commercials, adverts, even churches, whatever. So I'm putting it across. If you happen to know somebody Ghanaian, or someone who is affiliated to your cause or your part of the politics, tell him that he should bring his advert to Mansa Musa so that it will help us a little bit in this respect.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say I should form my church and then come and advertise. It's don't worry.
That is all that in good faith. I mean, if your church pastor wants to come and have a prayer time, we have the space as well. I mean, I'm being serious now. We have the space. So
okay, yeah, that's noted. That's noted.
Listen, thank you very much. Go and shower, freshen up, and find something a bit too late now. Find something to eat, and let's make it another time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my brother. God bless our listeners who have painstakingly born with us all this while. We are grateful for the pleasure of your company, and thank you, Mansa Musa, and your producers.
Cheers. Bye-bye. You are listening to Fire Will Burn You. Mansa Musa, today is Monday, so nice and refreshed, and I'm loving the game. I'm loving the show. Anyway, I hope you are loving it as well. Those of you on Facebook, thank you very much for sharing, Auntie Becky and Mary and the rest of you. Anyway, so I've just been sent the judgment from the Supreme Court regarding Jachi Kwesin, the Asin North constituency saga. I've just gone through, but it's a longish something, so I need to study it very well. Tomorrow going, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the rest, we will discuss this judgment. I mean, people who have gone through it properly, thoroughly, are saying that it makes a joke of any proper judicial dispensation. But we will go into it very well. Maybe tonight I'll read it, analyze, try to understand what is happening there, and see why some people are saying the nominated Chief Justice, the NDC side shouldn't endorse maybe they have a reason, maybe they have a point. Fire will burn you. Exactly what you are listening to the program. If you just tune in, we know about 8 minutes and the program will come to an end. Tomorrow evening we'll come here to redo it all over again. Don't forget, tomorrow is Dr. Joe Swatchman's party campaign hour, so to speak. So tomorrow, come and join us to discuss Ghana issues. Yes, so this conversation will carry on because the country director of World Bank did speak about how the Mahama administration, somehow signed a series of agreements which has put, or exacerbated the economic crisis facing Ghana today. Obviously, the NDC side do not, see eye to eye. I mean, they don't believe in what the country director is saying at all. And apparently, I mean, as you heard on this program, Dr. Kwabena Donko, who was the energy minister in Mahama's administration, said not long ago that tomorrow they will have these press releases, series of them, to take on that man called Pierre-Frank Laporte on his comments. Also, like I said, I've received a copy of the Supreme Court judgment on Jachi Kwesin. And I haven't gone through, so I'll go through tonight and see what we can do with it tomorrow. But people are already suggesting that the NDC group in Parliament should not endorse the Chief Justice because their reasoning leaves a lot to be, to be desired. That's the way to be desired. Yes, that it doesn't seem solid enough reason to relieve somebody of their parliamentary duties. So let's see what will happen, and tomorrow we'll come and discuss it. I thank you all for tuning in and for listening. And like I say, hopefully tomorrow, God willing, we'll come and do it all over again. Have a good night. Have a good night.
Make sure I'm a sewa about FM.